I'm Ryan Stuffridge.
And I'm Andrew Freeman.
Yeah.
I mean, if Providence did win, that would be probably the biggest upset. That'd be bigger than Duke Mercer, in my eyes.
Yeah. It'll be just as big. I mean, it's 11-6, so it's not, a huge... And there's only 2 wins to separate them. Providence is 23-11. North Carolina is 23-9. So Providence just has 2 more losses than them.
So today we're going to go over. We really need people to join the draft.
Yeah.
This needs to happen because it's going to be awesome. So once again, join the draft. Send us your emails on Twitter, Freeman Radio,
and at Ryan Stuffridge.
Or just tweet at our show for anything. You can say anything you want on our show tweets. We're Lonely Fantasy Fan Show on Twitter.
Yep.
Tell us what you think about the upcoming prospects. Tell us what you think about our show. Tell us what you think. What's on your mind? Penny for your thoughts. I don't have any pennies, though, so you're going to have to... So, we have the DL and the ALNL coming up.
Yeah.
And there have been some injuries that are kind of big because they're out for the rest of the season.
Right.
We're not going to say names, but later on, DL and the ALNL, talking about injuries in the baseball, MLB. Also, we have Fantasy Farm later, next hour. We're going over prospects. What prospects are we going over?
We're going over numbers 31 through 40.
31 through 40. So we'll be going through that as well. That's next hour. And this hour, pretty much just chit-chatting, talking it up.
Right.
So do you think the Cubs are going to go 500 this season?
500?
Yeah.
I could...
Do you think it's possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
How'd they do last season? Did they even get close?
Last season they had 97 losses.
97 losses? How many wins?
They were, that would make it 66 or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
I think they finished... I don't think they were last in the National League, but they were close to it, second to last maybe.
I mean, that's just no
always.
good.
So,
well, the White Sox didn't do any better.
The White Sox did worse, actually.
Wow.
They had 99 losses.
There's just the White Sox. Not that long ago was winning World Series and actually competing in the MLB.
Yeah. Well, and they were good in 2012. They held first place for a long time, and they just. They couldn't get it.
Now, what team out there do you think is going to surprise people?
A team that could surprise a lot of people. I think the New York Mets could really surprise a lot of people, and that's in the.
They have decent pitching.
Yeah, that's in the NL East. They got a pretty good staff with Neese and G, and then they're going to be without Matt Harvey. But once Matt Harvey comes back, that'll really help them a lot. Zach Wheeler is another guy that they got.
They've had a lot of issues with scoring though.
Yeah. Have
they resolved those with trades?
Yeah, I mean they got Curtis Granderson. Who I think will help them. I think
that's kind of weird that they went. It's like him going to AAA almost. Curtis Granderson gets traded to the Mets. He's like, oh man.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think he could really help that team.
Yeah, he will help. Well, anyone could help that team.
Yeah.
I mean, that team's been bad for a long time.
And they got a couple good young hitters like Ike Davis.
Yeah,
and they also got a couple other guys in their lineup that'll be okay.
My surprise team for the year is going to be Arizona. I think Arizona is going to...
Hey, they got who a lot of people think is going to be the NL MVP and Paul Goldschmidt. So
yeah, Paul Goldschmidt, and he has a cast of people that can support him pretty good. He's not going to have to do all the work.
Right.
It's not like a McCutchen situation where he's doing everything for that team he can.
Yeah.
McCutchen was overplayed last season, real bad.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
You don't want to wear him out too fast because then he's going to start getting injured Carl Crawford.
Yeah.
As soon Tampa Bay used him so much that as soon as he got traded, they make sure they got their money's worth. He was no good. He got injured in Boston. He got injured with the Dodgers now?
He's with the Dodgers,
okay,
yes.
He's been injured with the Dodgers. Hamstring issues every season. So, yeah. Another team I think that's going to do really good is, well, they did good last year, is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have another solid season.
I hope they do, and if the Cubs don't win the Central, my next favorite team is the Pirates. So
Yeah, I'd say so.
So because I like McCutcheon, everyone likes McCutcheon.
Yeah,
and
he's such a likable player.
And they got a couple good power hitters with Pedro Alvarez and Jose Tabata.
If Pedro Alvarez could get his batting average up just .2.
Yeah, it would help.
.20. Like, he's batting .233 last season. Like, if he could get like to a .250,
yeah,
I think that'd be acceptable.
If he's batting .250 and he still has the same amount of power and everything, that's really good.
Yeah, he's got decent D. He's good on defense. He plays third base.
He's very good. Yeah.
He's a great third baseman, but he just needs to work on the contact.
Mm-hmm. And their second baseman, Neil Walker, he's a decent player too. So I could see him doing a lot of things this year, hopefully. And who else? Who else do they have in there? Oh, did they have that young left fielder, Starling Marte?
Yeah, Starling Marte. I think he's going to be.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's going to be good. Yeah. Not much on him from last season, but
right. I'm trying to think of a team from the American League that is a good that could surprise a lot of people. Of course, the AL West is definitely going to be very competitive this year, along with the AL East again. But I really think the AL West is probably the most competitive because you have the Angels, who are in sort of years 2 and 3 with Pujols and Hamilton, and seeing if they can turn it around. Plus, they got Trout.
They got Pujols too late. I'd say 3 years too late.
Yeah,
he's pretty much spent.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely. I think they're starting to see that was a bad move. But if he can have a good year, that would really help them because they got a lot of.
It might be a Todd Helton situation where he gets healthy late. Like he has 2 years left to play.
Yeah, I could see that.
Todd Helton had a good last 2 years. I'd say he was hitting home runs and had a decent batting average before he retired.
Right, and of course, Trout is on that team, so that always helps.
Trout's a beast.
And the Texas Rangers are in that division. They got Fielder. They still have Adrian Beltre.
I can't see any other situation but Texas going. I think I'm going to call it. They're going to go to the World Series this year.
I can definitely see it. And they went to the World Series in, 2010, 2011?
Yeah, because they have good pitching and they're a powerhouse when it comes to home runs.
Right.
Like, they always hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
Except for every time I went to a home game, they lost when I was in the area.
Oh, man.
It broke my heart.
That actually really sucks.
Yeah. I would get my face painted and everything. You can see these pictures on Facebook. I had my face painted, had my blue bandana around my head. Me and all my friends would drive all the way from Lawton, Oklahoma to go see them play, and they'd lost every single time we went.
Oh, man.
And I paid for the hotel, so I wasn't out just the tickets. I was out a hotel room.
Yeah.
Heartbreaker. Come on.
That sucks.
And I went to the Cubs game.
Bad.
I think I already told the story, but I went to a Cubs game. First time I've ever been to Wrigley Field. It's the first inning, and they're down 5-1 against San Francisco.
Ooh.
I can't go to baseball games. I'm bad luck. I'm a curse.
Yeah, that
I'm going to start going to White Sox games. That's what's going to happen.
I love going to Sox games, actually, because it's a lot less expensive than going to Wrigley Field,
well,
for sure.
It's right there on the border of the ghetto.
Yeah, it's pretty close to where you don't really want to be past 10 o'clock.
Hopefully you take the train, don't drive there.
Yeah, it's...
although train's connected to the stadium, practically.
The area right where the park is, where the parking lots are, that's not too bad, but there's... Honestly, once you're out of the parking lot, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's like night and day.
There's a gas station, and you just see all these shady people walking in and out, and yeah, it's kind of scary.
Indeed, I've heard horror stories of people in that area.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
All right, are we going to break right now?
I was gonna do an update because I know I did that other update kind of late, but I want to try to stay on time. With this
nice.
one.
You might want to check out scores because God only knows what's happening.
I'm gonna pull out my phone and keep everybody updated on the scores today. Of course, yesterday there was upsets too.
Oh, Upset City, man!
Upset City.
4 overtimes, which is the most overtimes in the day.
4 overtime games.
It was crazy.
And I think only one 5 seed ended up out of the 12-5 games, 2 12 seeds won and 1 5 seed won.
Yeah, that's
pretty amazing.
Like, usually not that many 12 seeds go to the...
Right. Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, we'll play the legal ID update, and then we'll come back, talk for a little bit, go to break, and then coming up in about 10 minutes, we will have DL on the AL NL. So stick around, Fantasy Fanatics. And welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics. I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
I am Andrew Freeman, the myth, the legend, the tortoise. I don't know.
The tortoise.
I don't even know. My bracket's destroyed.
Yeah.
When you told me Nebraska lost, I actually had Nebraska going to the Sweet 16. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I could have seen that happen though.
Yeah.
I really could have seen that.
Because I thought Nebraska would beat Baylor. Baylor just lost to Iowa State.
So the next matchup you had would have been Nebraska versus Creighton.
Creighton, yeah. I had Creighton.
And I have Creighton and Baylor, and I have Creighton winning that and then losing to Wisconsin, who I think is going to beat Oregon.
I had Wisconsin losing to Oregon. Well, we'll get into that later.
There's a lot of disagreement. Of course, anytime you fill out a bracket, it's always
you always feel good about it afterwards. You're like, I did really good, and then the game starts. And you're like, why did I make that decision?
I should have went with the other thing.
Why did I make that decision?
I feel like I have New Mexico going way too far.
You might. And they might lose today.
They're losing by 3 as we speak.
Yeah.
So
I had Stanford.
That'll kind of piss me
them.
off if that happens.
So yeah, I have Kansas going. Yeah, I will get into this later.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. We'll come back, talk a little bit, and then do the DL on the AL.
It's March Madness, and I feel like I'm crazy. I'm going crazy over this March Madness. It's just awesome. I love it every year.
We'll be back on SportsTownChicago.com. The DL on the AL NL. This is Fantasy Fanatics here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
I am Andrew Freeman.
And now it is time, as you heard, for the DL on the AL NL.
Yes! I love this segment.
And starting with some pretty upsetting news, especially if you're a Oakland A's fan.
Oh, I am. I cheer for him every year to beat those Yankees.
Yeah, well, I do too. But Jared Parker, who has been a good pitcher for a number of years for Oakland, he's out for the season. Tommy John surgery. He just had Tommy John surgery a couple days ago.
Aloha.
Yeah,
that's sad.
That it really sucks because I had him last year, and so I'm kind of glad I don't have him this year, but
it gives them a chance to bring up one of their prospects, get them all warmed up in the MLB, and who knows what will happen.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if Oakland's going to be as good as they are. I'm not so sure if they're going to be that good this year, just because after losing this guy and also just sort of losing some other people too, I don't know how good they're going to be, especially in a competitive AL West where now Seattle's good and.
True,
Texas got better.
Going to be impressive this season.
Yeah. A.J. Griffin, also on Oakland, has a muscle strain in his right arm. He's going to be shut down for 3 weeks. He's coming up near the end of week number 1.
Oakland is falling apart.
They really are.
And training.
He's supposed to be back sometime in April, probably mid-April, it looks like. So that's 2 of their starters that are down. A.J. Griffin and Jared Parker, and Jared Parker is going to be out for the rest of the season. So that really is not good, especially if you have those 2 people. Or, God forbid, if you have both of them. Then you're not off to a good start on your team. The Atlanta Braves, Gavin Floyd, who, of course, is on Atlanta now after he was on the White Sox for, probably about 8 years.
He's all right.
Yeah, he was never, he never had a very low ERA, but he was pretty durable, and he helped them out for a couple years anyway. He was pretty good. He's supposed to be back in early May. He's recovering from Tommy John surgery last year, which I think he was shut down in May with the White Sox and then had Tommy John. Yeah, that was just a bad season for the White Sox that I'm sure they'd love to forget, because that's pretty tough to.
Yeah, when you're worse than the Cubs, I'd say that's nothing to be proud of.
Sox fans must hate that.
Yeah,
being worse than the Cubs. Because when you think about it, everyone is always like, "Oh, the Cubs are bad. Sox are a better team."
Yeah,
not last year.
There's still more Cub fans than Sox fans.
Oh, it's an overwhelming amount. Yeah, it's It's ridiculous.
It's
And
just because
Sox fans still think
it's
they're
just
cool.
because after the game you can go celebrate, win or lose, at a Wrigley Field.
Oh yeah.
Without getting shot or stabbed. Just saying.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That's just a point
Good
I want to
point.
throw out there.
Also, it's fun to go up to Milwaukee. I don't know if you've ever been to Miller Park in Milwaukee, but
No.
going up to Cubs games up there is pretty cool too because it's a lot cheaper, and Miller Park's just like an outstanding park, and there's a lot of space, and it's sort of in the middle of like nowhere, Wisconsin, which is kind of cool. And
Sounds like a field trip is in order
yeah, I think
for
we should
Fantasy
do that.
Fanatics. Let's
I
do
would
it.
do that.
Yeah, just tell me how much tickets are and I'll buy them.
Okay. Chris Medlin, also on the Atlanta Braves. Another Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
Out for the season, Chris Medlin.
Chris Medlin, is he a starting pitcher? I thought he turned relief.
He's a starting pitcher. He was supposed to be their I think he was supposed to be their number 1 or number 2. I think their number 1's Mike Minor actually. But
Yeah. I can't remember if it was 2 years ago Chris Medlin was actually a relief pitcher.
I think you're right. I think he was a relief pitcher. And yeah, he's out for the season with Tommy John. That really sucks.
Yeah.
On Arizona, Patrick Corbin has UCL damage in his left elbow. I don't know what that
Ooh.
means. I don't know if you do.
It's a collateral ligament in the elbow.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what the
Collateral
U
ligament.
stands for,
Okay.
but I know CL is a collateral ligament. It's sort of like an MCL on the knee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit more serious when you do it in the elbow, though.
yeah. So UCL damage in left elbow. It's not announced yet when he'll return.
It's probably ulnar. The ulnar is your bone in your arm, the collateral ligament.
Okay. So that's
Ulna.
exactly where the U is in UCL.
Yeah, the ulnar collateral ligament. Yeah.
Right. So that's it's kind of a big loss. I know that they're expecting a lot of good things from Patrick Corbin. He's a pitcher. Hopefully he'll be back soon. It sounds like he might be out for a while though.
Yeah,
If
he's
getting this.
going to be out for a few months.
Yeah. On the Indians, Michael Bourne, who is their center fielder, he has left hamstring tightness. He should be back for opening day, but just try to keep an eye on that.
That nagging Carl Crawford injury.
Yeah, I know.
Just it's
Left
spreading.
hamstring
I mean,
tightness.
Michael Bourne is a Carl Crawford. He doesn't have the batting average, but he does get steals.
Mhm.
He's a center fielder, right?
Yes.
He's an outfielder of some kind.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been around. He's been to a few teams.
Yeah.
Last few seasons.
Yeah. And also on the Cubs, James McDonald, who is fighting for like a number 4 or 5 spot on the Cubs rotation this year, I think he was with Pittsburgh a couple years ago.
I think so. Yeah, you're right.
He's a real tall guy. I was watching a Cubs game on TV, and he was the pitcher. He's really tall and big.
Yeah. Like a Randy Johnson.
Yeah,
of.
yeah. It kind of reminded me of Randy Johnson. He has to be close to 7 feet. He's pretty tall, and he's got right shoulder soreness in his arm, but he should be back for
it's
opening day, and
2-3
hopefully
weeks.
he'll be getting that 5th spot in the rotation. Let's see here. Next, we have Jonathan Neese on the Mets. He has left elbow discomfort. They say he's supposed to be back a week after opening day, so they have April 6th as the
I
timetable.
mean, that's dangerous with that elbow discomfort because it can turn into something severe. So
Yeah.
they better PT that or give some physical therapy to that real good.
Right. The Nationals have some news. It's Doug Fister, as we talked about him a little bit earlier. He's got right elbow inflammation. He's supposed to be back. It says he's possibly going to be back for opening day.
I would drop him out of the top 100 altogether.
Yeah, especially with this injury.
With that injury, it's just that let's not have a chance because there's
Right.
been so many elbow was it called elbow inflammation or whatnot that ended
Elbow
up
inflammation, yeah.
like weeks later they had to get Tommy John or something like that.
Right.
Galvin Floyd was one of those people last season where
Yeah.
he had elbow issues. He had the whole season. He just sort of had some pitching issues, and you didn't know what was wrong until he's out for the rest of the season for Tommy John.
Yeah, it's really...
So make sure and
Wow.
see these signs with the elbows for pitchers and be like, do I want to take a chance?
Yeah. Not so sure if you do want to take a chance.
Especially with Doug Fister. There's better pitchers.
Yeah.
Shelby Miller.
Yeah, Shelby Miller is definitely one that's better. Let's see. Cincinnati Reds have some news. it looks like Aroldis Chapman, after I don't know if you saw this. This was a couple days ago. He got
Aroldis,
hit by a line drive spring training. It was a horrible injury. He's recovering from facial fracture surgery, which he had yesterday.
Oh, so he got hit in the face.
Yeah, he got hit. It was like below the eye.
Okay.
And he had a bunch of stress fractures, and it's to be announced on his return. But I think they said he was going to be out for a couple months.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think I heard that on MLB Network. I think they were talking, and he's supposed to be back. Like he's going to miss a couple months, so they're going to need to put a new closer in there. Possibly Jonathan Broxton could be their closer.
Broxton is a good choice. He's usually their holds guy.
Yeah, so he might slide into that role unless they want to pick up a closer. I don't know.
Nah. Why waste your money when you have a perfectly decent backup in Broxton?
Yeah. On Kansas City, Luke Hochevar, who was a starter. I think he's a starter. He might be a relief pitcher. He might be both. He's out for the season with Tommy John surgery, so that is a third person that is out with Tommy John surgery. There's
it's an epidemic.
Jared Parker, Chris Medlin, and now Luke Hochevar, and Gavin Floyd's recovering from Tommy John surgery, but he'll be back this year. So that's
it's not Tommy
good.
John's. It does take you out for a season, but it's not a big of a deal. It's not like a career ender like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten really good with Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. So yeah, Luke Hochevar out for the season, and on the Detroit Tigers, Jose Iglesias, who is a pretty good young shortstop for Detroit. He has stress fractures in both of his shins.
Ouch.
Not good.
Why? I just don't see why you didn't go to the sports doctor for his shin splints, because that's how stress fractures in your shins start.
Okay.
So you have shin splints, and then you keep on playing through that pain, and then the muscle just pulls away at the bone to the point where it actually causes a stress fracture. And then if you continue to play on the stress fracture, your leg can break.
Wow.
Yeah. So why would you do that to yourself? You should have gone to the sports.
You got me. I have no clue. He's supposed to be back late 2014.
Yeah.
Not good for the Tigers. That's really sort of a big blow. Fielder's gone. Iglesias is gone now for a while. And you added Ian Kinsler, a good second baseman. But I don't know. That's interesting. I'm not sure who's going to replace Jose Iglesias.
Right.
On that Tigers roster. He's pretty good. So.
And if you want to see what happens to a stress fracture when it breaks, go to YouTube. And you can watch it. It's horrifying.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see that.
Bone just breaks in half.
Man.
It happens a lot in cross country.
Yeah, so that'll take a while to heal, obviously.
Yeah. He's going to wear a boot for a while.
It's pretty much the DL on the AL, and a lot of injuries.
Yeah, a lot of Tommy John.
Yeah, a lot of Tommy Johns, and
and hopefully you're listening to this and you're like, I need to change how I draft people.
Yep. Definitely.
Because if you draft one of these guys, who knows what's going to happen as the season goes on. You're going to have someone on your DL right after your draft. That kind of does not a good thing.
Right. Just real quick, we're going to go to break in a little bit, in a couple minutes anyway. And then we will come back with an update, and then we're going to do talk about March Madness for a good amount of time, because we like March Madness.
Yes.
This isn't just strictly baseball.
I mean, it's fantasy.
Yeah, it's
fantasy.
fantasy.
Filling out your brackets, I fantasize it on a daily basis up until March.
Right.
So after you win one, I won one 3 years ago, when Lawson played for UNC.
Yeah.
He came back from that injury, and then North Carolina won the championship.
And real quick, who did you have in the first 4 games? The games before. I don't know if you picked those or not. I just wanted to know if you picked those.
I picked what were the games?
The first 4 games. The
Oklahoma.
Iowa and Tennessee, North Carolina State, Xavier, Albany, Mount St. Mary's, Cal Poly, Texas Southern.
I don't think I picked from those games.
Okay. Yeah.
I picked Iowa, of course, but
yeah,
since
I
picked
also
Iowa, just switched over to Tennessee.
Did you watch that game? The
I
Iowa-Tennessee?
regretfully did, and
I did too.
Iowa
I was
shut
really
down in the
upset.
last 5 minutes.
I was really upset, and that they also ended the year losing 6 of 7.
Yeah,
So that's not good.
No, it was 7 of 8 after that game.
Yeah,
I
7
think.
of 8. There you go.
So, yeah. But
Yeah.
Tennessee is now beating UMass, so I'm not feeling
are.
too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll keep you updated. I'll go in depth. And we'll talk about the games from yesterday, too.
We'll break down the brackets from south
Yes.
to east, who we think's going to win.
Yep.
My
And,
south to east is the only bracket that I really like right now.
Mm-hmm.
my west to midwest isn't looking too good.
At least, let's see. In my Elite 8, Duke's out of my Elite 8. Everyone else is in as far as now, anyway.
Yeah, I have 2 teams missing, but we'll
If
go
New
over
Mexico loses, that'll be 2 people out of my Elite 8.
that. Right.
But, yeah, we'll talk about all that. March Madness stuff coming up on Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com.
Yeah.
Stay with us.
Stay with us.
I was walking down the street when out the corner of my eye I saw a pretty little thing approaching me. She said, I never seen a man.
Bracketology Psychology.
Alright, now what do you see on this card?
Basketball.
Okay, and what do you see on this one?
Basketball.
And what do you see on this one?
I see Dayton upsetting Ohio State.
Now you have a very serious case. I believe it is...
The March Madness Syndrome.
It is not curable. You must watch 100 hours of basketball.
I can do that. Do you hear that music in the background?
No, you're crazy.
Welcome back. I am Andrew Freeman,
I'm Ryan Stuffridge.
and this is Bracketology Psychology.
I love that spot that we made.
It was funny.
great.
We had a lot of fun making it,
Yeah.
and it was funny in general. Do you just want to break down the brackets?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
We'll start with the South. Florida against Albany. Albany. Of course, I had Florida winning that one.
As did I.
Colorado versus Pittsburgh. I had Pittsburgh winning that one.
I unfortunately picked Colorado.
What a horrible
They got
pick.
blown out.
Yeah.
I mean, normally these 8-9 matchups are a lot closer than what
Yeah.
they were. But Pittsburgh won by it was over 20 points. Yeah, so it's going to be Pittsburgh and Florida playing Saturday in Orlando.
And then we had VCU versus SF Austin. Of course, I have VCU winning because
also
I
have
love
VCU.
Shaka, whatever his name is.
Shaka Smart, yeah.
Love his name. Shaka Smart.
It's kind of weird. I think this is because a lot of the 12-5 matchups, a lot of people had the 12s winning.
Yeah.
Which yesterday 2 of them won in North Dakota State.
VCU's too good.
And,
the coach is awesome.
And who was the other 12 that won? And Harvard beat Cincinnati. Yeah. So yeah, VCU. They play later tonight. They actually play at. If my phone would work, but they play later today, and I think they'll win.
I have VCU going to the Sweet 16. Is that crazy?
It's not crazy.
I have them beating UCLA. I have UCLA beating Tulsa because they're one of the top scorers, but they're also one of the top scored on teams.
Okay.
And they're coached by Steve Alford, who used to coach Iowa.
Yeah. VCU and SF Austin are going to play at 6:27 on True TV. And I didn't realize this, but SF Austin is a 12 seed. They're 31-2.
Wow.
Is their regular, but they didn't have a strong strength of schedule.
Yeah.
They're 12.
Yeah,
seed.
it's same with Wichita State. I didn't have Wichita, but we'll give it to that.
Yeah.
Ohio State versus Dayton. I had Ohio State winning, regretfully.
Yeah, I did too.
They were defeated by number 11 seed Dayton.
I actually thought about taking Dayton just because I hate Ohio State so much.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I just hate it when people say the Ohio State University.
Yeah.
Just makes me want to have them lose at everything.
and the game before that, you said you had UCLA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also had UCLA, and they play later today, too. I heard a lot of things about Tulsa, though. I heard that Tulsa's a fast-paced team. They like to score a lot, and they might give UCLA trouble, but a lot of these
UCLA
teams-
is also fast-paced, but they also allow people to score on them
Right.
like crazy.
Which is why that'll probably be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game.
No.
That's in San Diego. Is that game? Okay, Syracuse, Western Michigan. I had Syracuse.
I
winning.
also have Syracuse.
Yeah.
I have Syracuse going all the way to the Elite Eight.
I could see that happening. I have them losing to New Mexico, but it looks like that's over with as New Mexico has just lost to Stanford 58-53.
I had Stanford beating New Mexico.
Hey, it could happen. Well,
It didn't happen, sir.
yeah. Yeah, so New Mexico, Stanford, which just ended. Kansas, Eastern Kentucky, I had Kansas.
Of course, I have Kansas. I have Kansas going to the Sweet 16 and losing to Syracuse.
Okay. I have, well, now I'm all screwed up here. I had New Mexico beating Kansas. And now it'll be Stanford and Kansas. They'll play in St. Louis Sunday. Wow. That'll be
It's all going according to plan.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing pretty good so far, at least.
On this side.
At least
Let's
it's
let's
south.
not talk until
Yeah.
we get to the other side.
Yeah.
Then you're like, why did you do
Right.
that? And then next we go to the East.
Right. And in the East, we have Virginia, Coastal Carolina. I think most people have Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia is one of the stronger number ones. Florida is supposed to be the number one, but I'd say Virginia's right up there with them.
I really like Virginia this year.
Yeah.
Memphis, George Washington. This could go really either way. A lot of people think George Washington could beat them, but I have Memphis winning.
Of course, I picked Memphis as well.
Okay. Cincinnati, Harvard.
I picked Cincinnati.
I also picked Cincinnati, but
I haven't seen a good Harvard team in a while.
yeah,
And this Harvard team looked awesome. They were
I
good.
did.
I think Harvard could beat. No, not Michigan State. Never mind. Not going to happen. They can't beat. If they beat Michigan State, that would be the biggest
Wow.
upset in the tournament. Because I have Michigan State going all the way.
Okay. Yeah, I have Michigan State losing to Virginia, surprisingly enough. Michigan State, Delaware, we all had Michigan State.
Yes.
Although Delaware was hanging in there tough for a little
Yeah,
bit.
until the second period when they only scored 13 points and
Yeah.
lost 75-35.
Yeah. Let's see, what's next? North Carolina, Providence. I have Providence.
I have North Carolina, of course.
I think I'm going to be wrong on this. I think North Carolina is going to win.
What's the score on that one?
I don't think they've started playing yet, have they? Oh, they play at 6:20, so they'll tip off in about 3 hours.
Yeah, I have North Carolina going to the Elite Eight. I have them beating Iowa State,
Could very easily happen.
which
so.
makes me a traitor, obviously, because I am from Iowa.
But you don't like Iowa State, though.
Because
Iowa and Iowa State
Yeah.
are kind of rivals, aren't they?
we're
Sort of
huge
in-state
rivals.
Yeah.
It gets mouthy sometimes.
Like, Illinois doesn't really have an in-state rival because Northwestern sucks. So
And
they-
Illinois State is.
Yeah, and Illinois
a
State
joke.
in the Missouri Valley.
I mean, all you have is
Play.
like no one really. Northwestern, maybe.
Northwestern, I mean, DePaul, if they were good, would, I guess,
Yeah,
sort of
that's
be a
never
rival.
going to
I
happen
don't know.
again.
Oh, it'll happen.
Iowa State.
I'll just be dead.
Yeah. Iowa State versus North Carolina Central.
Yeah,
Iowa State, of course.
Connecticut, St. Joe's. I did have Connecticut.
I had Connecticut as well. St. Joe's shocked me.
Yeah. It was surprising. They took them to overtime. And
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. I my jaw dropped. They look so fresh, though.
I know.
St. Joe's looks so good.
I thought they were going to win. St. Joseph's towards the end. I was really thinking they would win. Villanova, UW, Milwaukee. I had Villanova, of course.
I also had Villanova.
Yeah,
I have
support
Villanova
the
going
Biggies.
to the Sweet 16 and losing to North Carolina.
I have them in the Sweet 16 and losing to Iowa State. So
Yeah. Well,
we'll see.
Either of those could happen.
Yeah.
Because Iowa State's a really good team. They have
Yeah.
a really good coach.
Let's move over to the West.
Yes.
In the West, Arizona is the number 1 seed in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And Arizona against Weber State, I had Arizona.
I also had Arizona.
And I think Arizona is creaming them.
Arizona and Wichita State are your weaker number ones.
I think so, too, actually.
I have Arizona losing.
A lot of people would say, I think most experts and a majority of people might say Florida and Arizona are the two strongest, but I agree with you. I think Florida and Virginia are the stronger number 1 seeds.
Arizona doesn't have. They didn't play.
They lost to
their
UCLA
schedule
in
wasn't
the,
that great.
in the Pac-12 championship. So.
Yeah.
And they're currently, well, Weber State came back a little bit. Arizona's up by 12 with 3:43 left, so they'll still win. But Weber State's holding in there. And Gonzaga, Oklahoma State, I had Gonzaga.
I have Oklahoma State.
Yeah. A lot of people have Oklahoma State. I just don't really like that Marcus Smart kid, so I thought Gonzaga would upset them.
Going against the friction there.
Yeah, they tip off in about a half hour.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma State has the advantage. They're minus 3.5 in the points, so they're favored by 3.5 points. So we'll see if they can do that. Oklahoma and North Dakota State.
I had Oklahoma going all the way to the Final Four because I thought they could beat. North Dakota State, of course, and then I thought New Mexico State would beat San Diego State, which did not happen.
You were probably heartbroken then last night.
Last
they
night
took
was
them to
hard.
overtime.
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah. And
Wow.
then San Diego State won that one. I still thought Oklahoma could beat San Diego State. Then they would go on and play Arizona, the weakest number 1, and they would win that one and go to the Elite 8.
Yeah, I can see your
my
case for
thinking
it.
was fine. It's just that Oklahoma did not perform.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. Wow. I mean, I also had Oklahoma, but I had them losing to San Diego State, so I'm not going to be as screwed up as you were for that.
Yeah.
But it'll be pretty bad because we both had them losing. Baylor, San Diego State and New Mexico State. I had San Diego State. You had New Mexico State.
Yep.
Baylor, Nebraska. I had Baylor.
I had Nebraska. Another horrible pick.
Yeah.
I had Nebraska going all the way to Sweet 16 because I thought they could beat Creighton.
It's funny because like the two schools in Nebraska, which is the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Creighton Blue Jays, they both made it to the tournament this year.
Right,
Which I
and
think
they would
is
have
the
played
first
each
time that's
other.
happened.
They would have played each other if Nebraska pulled
that would
out
have been
victory.
crazy in-state rivalry
Yeah.
right there. Ooh. Oregon and BYU.
Yep, I picked Oregon.
I also picked Oregon. Although I was thinking about going BYU, I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
And then lost by like 18 points.
Yeah, I have Oregon going all the way to the Elite 8. I have Oregon beating Wisconsin in the second round.
That could definitely happen, although I don't have it. Because I have Wisconsin winning it all, by the way.
Oh, dude, that's crazy.
I
That's
really do.
nuts.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that number 1 on their team, Ben Brust, he went to my high school.
Okay.
So I've sort of been following them a lot. I definitely like them a lot more than I used to. But they beat up on American by like 40 points.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And plus they have that home court advantage because they're in Milwaukee for that game, and then they're in Milwaukee for this next game against Oregon. That's going to be a big game, Oregon-Wisconsin.
Yeah, I have
definitely gonna be
Oregon
close.
going all the way to Elite 8. Yeah, Elite 8.
We will get to more of our picks as we have just finished the South, East, and West brackets for the first few rounds. We'll go through the Midwest, and then we'll go through our later picks and tell us
Final Four and
who's in the Final
championships.
Four and championships, who we got, and at least who still has a possibility. At least both of our championship winners have.
Yeah, they're still in it.
They both won their first round games
For now.
So at least we got that going for us. You're listening to Fantasy Fanatics Bracketology Psychology right now on Sportstown Chicago.
Welcome back.
Yes, this is Fantasy Fanatics, but we're doing bracketology psychology right now as we're going over our brackets.
Indeed, and we left off with the Midwest, and starting with the Midwest, the number 1 seed, Wichita State, against Cal Poly. Cal Poly winning a game just to get in.
Yep.
But Wichita State's the weakest number 1,
Yeah,
and the way things are going, Cal Poly could beat Wichita State.
I wouldn't be shocked, especially with all the stuff that's happened this March Madness already. But yeah, I think we both have Wichita State winning that.
Yes, I do.
And here's an interesting one. Kentucky, Kansas State. Now, I have Kansas State.
I have Kentucky.
And this really is going to be a close game. This might be the most evenly matched game out of all the games today.
Yeah. Kansas State might have an edge.
Yeah. Kansas State, of course, has Bruce Weber, who was the former Illini coach. And Kentucky has, John Calipari, who's kind of a corrupt coach. A lot of people don't like him, but this is definitely going to be a really good game. And this will be later on today. St. Louis and the winner of that other playing game, which was North Carolina State.
I picked St. Louis.
You had St. Louis.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I had picked I originally thought Xavier was going to beat North Carolina State.
Yeah.
And I strictly did that because I've seen Xavier play this year, and because they're in the Big East, the same conference as DePaul. And then so I had North Carolina. So then North Carolina State, I was wanting them to beat St. Louis, but they didn't. So that's going to be screwed up for me because I have Xavier against Louisville, and that's not happening.
Yeah.
St. Louis against Louisville.
I have Louisville beating St. Louis.
Yes, I do too.
Yep.
But at least I have Louisville winning.
I mean, Louisville had a close one last night against Manhattan.
They really did.
Manhattan
they
had
didn't pull
that
away till that Luke Hancock guy hit 2 threes. Wow.
They also, one of the guys fouled out on the Manhattan team.
Mm-hmm.
And then after he fouled out, it just sort of changed. But Louisville edging out Manhattan, that full court press was getting to them, man.
Right.
Their point guard is not really a point guard at all. He's more of a guard, and he had some work to do.
I'd never really heard of Manhattan College before.
Yeah,
before
me neither.
Because when you hear a name like Manhattan College, you automatically assume it's like a Division 2 or 3 school, but it wasn't. It's Division 1. UMass versus what I had was Iowa, but it is Tennessee, and Tennessee was winning. I'm going to check that real quick while you can talk about your sadness for Iowa there.
Yeah, I had Iowa. I was hoping Iowa would win and play UMass, but Tennessee edged them out in the last 5 minutes of the game. So I have Tennessee beating UMass, and hopefully that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend who's also an Iowa fan, and he was pretty upset about it, especially because I guess late in the game there was a questionable call. I wasn't really watching, but I guess there was a questionable call towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
There was a foul that was either called or not called. I can't remember. Tennessee is currently beating Massachusetts by 12.
Oh.
14:34 left in the second half.
They could still come back, but if Tennessee wins, then I'm good there.
Yeah, so I guess if Tennessee wins, I'm good too because I had Iowa winning. But now this is going to be interesting because it's not going to be Iowa or Duke playing against each other, which is what I had. It's going to be Mercer against
14 versus an 11. I can't remember the last time I've seen a 14 play an 11.
And then whoever wins that goes to Sweet 16. So you're already going to have a guaranteed 11 or
14.
14.
You're going to have a double digit going into the Sweet 16 no matter what.
That's going to be interesting.
It very interesting, and I'd like to see Mercer go on.
I would root for Mercer.
I already had Duke going to the Elite Eight, so
yeah, I did too. So
go
might
Mercer.
as well root for the team that beat Duke, right?
Right.
Texas, Arizona State.
What a heartbreak! That was a crazy game.
I had Texas, and I'm so glad I did.
I had Texas too, but that was a crazy game last night.
I thought Arizona was going to pull away after they hit.
It looked like it.
I think it was like halfway through the second half. They hit those threes to come back.
Texas kept on clawing away at the boards.
Texas, and then that guy he missed that shot, and then that guy got the rebound.
The center got this crazy rebound on it, bounced almost between his legs.
No time left. He barely got it off in time.
0.1 seconds left when it left his hand.
Right. And then
buzzer beater.
Yeah. And then, of course, Michigan, Wofford. I had Michigan.
Of course, I have Michigan.
And I have Michigan beating Texas as well.
All right. And now we'll go ahead and break down who do you have in your Sweet 16?
My Sweet 16 is Florida, UCLA for that first matchup.
Okay.
And who do you have?
Florida, VCU.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you think VCU is going to upset UCLA? I could definitely see that happening. Next, Syracuse, New Mexico. New Mexico is not going to be there. You probably have Kansas.
Syracuse, Kansas.
Yeah. And it probably is going to be Syracuse, Kansas, and if it is, that's going to be a really hard-fought game, too.
Yeah.
Virginia, Michigan State, I have in the other...
I have the same.
Okay. Iowa State, Villanova.
I have North Carolina versus Villanova. Sorry, Iowa fans.
Arizona, San Diego State for me, so that can still happen.
I had Arizona versus Oklahoma.
Ooh. Creighton, Wisconsin in my other game.
I had Nebraska versus Oregon.
And that's because I think Creighton's going to beat Baylor, although that's going to be a close game too, I think.
Yeah.
Wichita State, Louisville.
I have Kentucky, Louisville.
And that could definitely happen. A lot of people are picking Kentucky over Wichita State.
Yeah.
A lot of people. And then Duke, Michigan.
I had Duke, Michigan.
Duke won't be there.
Heartbreaker.
How could you let us down, Duke?
Yeah, what's up with that? A number 3 losing to a 14. That hasn't happened in a while.
It really hasn't.
Elite 8.
Elite 8, Florida, New Mexico.
Florida, Syracuse.
Yeah, I really should have taken Syracuse.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
And then the other Elite 8 in the East, Virginia, Iowa State.
Michigan State, North Carolina.
And any of those could really happen. San Diego State and Wisconsin in the West. So I have Wisconsin beating Creighton.
In the West, I have Oklahoma versus Oregon. You can cross out Oklahoma.
Yep. And then Louisville Duke.
And then I have Louisville Duke.
And
goodbye, Duke.
Well,
that's
at least
2 Elite Eight that I have missing already.
Yeah. Final four for me is Florida, Iowa State, Wisconsin, Louisville.
I had Florida, Michigan State, Oklahoma, Louisville.
Okay, so we have Florida and Louisville the same.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I have Wisconsin beating San Diego State, which could still happen to go to the Final Four. And I have Iowa State beating Virginia, which could still happen to go to the Final Four. And I have Florida beating New Mexico, which isn't going to happen, but
yeah, I have Michigan
it'll probably be Florida,
State.
Syracuse.
I have Michigan State and Louisville in the championship game. They're both 4 seeds, and I have Michigan State beating Louisville 83-76.
Okay, I have Florida beating Iowa State and going to the championship game, and I have Wisconsin beating Louisville. It's going to be a tough game. My heart went with Wisconsin, but my head probably should have told me to go with Louisville. I could have had a Louisville-Florida matchup. But
Yeah.
I have Florida-Wisconsin. I have Wisconsin winning it all, and I think the score I had in my head was like 69-68 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. We finished right on time.
Nice.
Good timing.
Good timing.
Good timing, and then we'll do an update, and then we will come back and talk a little bit about our draft and whatnot. We'll take a break, and then come back for Fantasy Farm.
Yes.
OnAir.com. I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
I'm taking over my body, back in control, no more shoddy. I bet a lot of me was lost, T's and crossing I's and dotted. I thought it a lot, and it seems a lot like flesh is all I got. Not anymore, flesh out the door, swat. I must have forgot, you can't trust me. I'm open the moment and close when you show it before you know it, I'm lost at sea. And now that I write and think about it and the story unfolds, you should take my life, you should take my soul. You are surrounding all my surroundings, sounding down the mountain range of my left side brain. You are surrounding all my surroundings, twisting the kaleidoscope behind both of my
Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics. I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
I am Andrew Freeman.
And we just went over our brackets for Bracketology Psychology segment.
Good times.
And Andrew has Michigan State winning it all, and I have Wisconsin winning it all. At least those teams for us are still in it.
All Big Ten.
Yeah. Yeah, all Big Ten.
Yeah.
The Big Ten's one of the toughest conferences. It always has been. So
It is. I think Iowa just got worn out at the end there.
yeah, Tennessee just was playing with more fire, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like it because they're beating UMass right now.
Right. And we'll talk a little bit about our draft here. Don't forget, our next week we're going to have an alt-draft type of show. And
Fantasy Fanatics Fantasy Baseball League. It's going to be on
Right.
ESPN.com. Make sure you send us your email if you want to be part of the league because you will be technically on the radio show because we're going to be reading your tweets live on air. We'll even be doing some phone calls.
Yep.
And a lot of trash talking will be involved.
that's for sure. So stick around to Fantasy Fanatics. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and in about 5 minutes we're going to have Fantasy Farm.
Yay!
So stick around for that. You're listening to Fantasy Fanatics here on SportsTownChicago.com.
Depend on our protection, yeah!
desert blowing up the sunshine.
And now it's time for Fantasy Farm.
Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stubbridge.
And I'm Andrew Freeman.
And now it is time for Fantasy Farm, as you heard that introduction for it. And starting off on the Fantasy Farm with number 31, Kevin Gossman. Kevin Gossman's in the Orioles organization. He's a right-handed pitcher, drafted in 2012 with the fourth pick in the first round. And it says the first pitcher chosen in the 2012 draft. Gossman began his first full professional season in Double-A and ended up in the major leagues. In between that, he showed he was one of a kind with advanced arm scouts coming out of LSU. And some of his numbers, I'll start off with the majors. He's played in 20 games in the major leagues. He started 5, and he's 3-5 with a 5.66 ERA, so not very good in the majors. Allowed 8 home runs, 13 walks, 49 strikeouts, and batters batted .276 against him, so not very good.
No.
In the minors, he's done better. He's played 15 games. He's 3-6 with a 3.51 ERA, so that needs to come down a little bit. And that's in 82 innings pitched. He has 82 strikeouts in that, so he's done pretty well in the minors, but he could do a little better, I guess. Number 32 on this list, Kyle Crick. Kyle Crick is with the San Jose Giants. He's with the he's in the San Francisco Giants organization. He's an advanced A-ball. Bats left, throws right, so that's a little different. Drafted in 2011, he was the 49th pick in the first supplemental draft with San Francisco. Taking a look at his career numbers in the minors, he's never pitched in the majors. His minors, he's pitched 14 games, 1.57 ERA, very good. 3-1, 68.2 innings pitched, allowed only 1 home run in 68 innings. That's pretty good.
That's really good. Yeah.
95 strikeouts, that's also pretty good. Batters batting .201 against him with a whip of 1.27, and he's given up 48 hits, but he's done pretty well this year, or last year, I should say, in the minor leagues, and this will be a name that we'll definitely have to watch out for. Number 33 on the list, Jackie Bradley Jr. Jackie Bradley is with the Boston Red Sox organization. He's an outfielder, bats left, throws right. He's drafted in 2011 with a 40th pick in the first round by Boston. And he has played in the MLB. I was wondering because I had recognized his name. He's played 37 games in the majors, but his numbers aren't very good. Batting only .189.
Good Lord.
10 RBIs, 3 home runs. That's actually a little surprising. 5 doubles, 18 hits altogether. That's in 95 at-bats with the Boston Red Sox. In the minors, he's done a lot better, batting .275 in 80 games. That's 320 at-bats, 10 home runs, 35 RBI, 57 runs. So .275 he bats, so hopefully he can get it together there in the minors, and maybe we'll see him in the majors sometime soon. Number 34 is Corey Seager, who is the younger brother of Kyle Seager, who is the starting third baseman for the Seattle Mariners. He is with the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. That's an odd name. That's in the Dodgers organization, and that's advanced single A ball. He's a shortstop, drafted in 2012. Never played in the majors, but his career minors batting is .269. He has 10 stolen bases, so he might be pretty fast. 72 RBI, 55 runs, 100 hits, and that's in 101 games played. So that's pretty good. Had 12 home runs with one of the leagues he was in last year, so that's pretty good.
His batting average is kind of weak, though.
269, yeah, it's a little week.
Especially if you're going to go up to the MLB.
Right. So he is a shortstop prospect with a little bit of power, but we'll see how that power translates as he moves up. This is number 35, Yordano Ventura. Yordano Ventura is with the Kansas City Royals organization. He is a right-handed pitcher. He was signed in 2008 by Kansas City. So he's a little older. He's 23. And he has played, 3 games in the majors. He's made 3 major league appearances, Yordano Ventura. In those 3 appearances, 3.52 ERA in 15.1 innings pitched. Batters facing him are bat 224 against him. Only 11 strikeouts. Not a strikeout pitcher at all, especially in the majors. In the minors, that's a different story. In the minors, 155 strikeouts in 25 games. That's pretty good. The batter's batting 238 against him in that, and that's in 134 and a third innings pitched. Doesn't give up a lot of home runs, only gave up 7. And it looks like he gives up a lot of walks as he gave up 53. So he's definitely an interesting one to watch out for. Next on the list is Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson is with the Chattanooga Lookouts, which is a Double-A team of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's an outfielder, bats left, throws left, drafted in 2010. He's 21 years old. He bats in the minors. He in 123 games, so that's a pretty full season, and 439 at bats. He gave up 22, or he hit 22 home runs, 58 RBIs, 81 runs. Very well done. 278 batting average. That's pretty good. 31 stolen bases too. Wow.
Has he played in the MLB at all?
No, he has not, and he's in Double-A right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in Triple-A before we know it.
Yeah.
He's an outfield prospect, so I'm trying to think of the Dodgers' outfield. They have Crawford, they have Kemp, who keeps getting hurt.
Kemp Van Crawford.
And they have Ethier, I think is their other outfielder.
He'll be up there soon.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Jock Peterson. And he is only 21 years old, so hopefully we'll see him soon. Oh, and I guess it says here he was overshadowed at the start of the year by Yasiel Puig, so I guess he was playing with Puig, and Puig, obviously played in the majors. And that was with Double-A Chattanooga. Number 37 on the list is Billy Hamilton, and if you heard that name before, that is because he was showing off his speed with the Cincinnati Reds for a little bit. I don't know if you remember hearing about him last year. You probably do. I don't know if you do, but this is in 13 games with the Cincinnati Reds. Batted .368 with the Reds. Yeah,
that's awesome.
13 stolen bases. He steals bases a ton. He's one of the fastest people, if not the fastest, in the major.
Why is he a prospect?
Leagues.
I feel like he should be starting.
Right. Well, it might sort of be like a Tony Campana situation where you're really not supposed to be a major league player, but you come up anyway. In the minors, he's been very good. In 504 at-bats, 75 runs, 129 hits, 18 doubles, 4 triples. That's pretty good. 6 home runs, 41 RBIs, 102 strikeouts, kind of high. 75 stolen bases. Boom.
How many?
75.
That's a lot.
75 stolen bases in the minors. Very good. He only batted .256, though, in the minors. But when this guy gets on base, someone after him is going to try to drive him in, and they'll have a chance to. Number 38 on the list, and forgive me about this name because it's a really long name, Raul Adalberto Mondesi.
All right.
Wow. With the Lexington Legends, and that's single A full. He's a shortstop. He's a switch hitter, and he throws right. He was signed in 2011. He is in the minors. He in 125 games and 482 at-bats, batted .261, had 47 RBIs and 61 runs. So he's doing okay. 7 triples, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
24 stolen bases, but...
He's fast if he can get 7 triples.
Yeah, 7 triples, that's pretty good, and 7 home runs, so maybe there's a little spark of power there later, we don't know. 47 RBIs is pretty good, too, especially for a shortstop in the minor leagues. Number 39 on the list is Jorge Alfaro. Jorge Alfaro is with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and he's a catcher. He bats right, throws right, signed in 2010 by the Texas Rangers. He's almost as old as me. He's 20 years old. He has played 113 games in the minor leagues, and he's played with 3 different teams during last year, most of them being with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. In 404 at-bats, he had 72 runs, 61 RBIs, batted .265, so that's respectable. 122 strikeouts, and 107 hits. So he's doing okay, and especially for a catcher, that's not awful, batting .265. So he is in the Rangers organization, and I know the Rangers need a catcher now that they have Giovanni Soto starting. I mean, who in their right mind would have Giovanni Soto starting? Last on this list, number 40 in the Twins organization, Minnesota Twins, the Elizabethton Twins in the Rookie League, Cole Stewart. Now, Cole Stewart is younger than I am, which is kind of surprising. He's like 2 months younger than me. It's just kind of weird to see that. Drafted in 2013, he was the 4th pick in the first round, so a lot of high hopes. He's a 2-sport star in high school, and he committed to Texas A&M to play quarterback and pitch before the Twins made him the 4th overall pick. So he could have been the backup to Johnny Manziel. That's kind of weird to think about. Isn't that weird?
That's pretty weird. He could have been the starter.
he could have taken the place.
Issues.
Yeah, he could have taken the place. So this is Cole Stewart. So obviously, if he was a 2-sport athlete and he was drafted to play quarterback with a college team, he's obviously got a great arm. And he's a right-handed pitcher, so obviously he has a good arm. He played in 7 games, started 4 of them. In 20 innings pitched, very good ERA, 1.35. That's a good ERA, a very good ERA. 24 strikeouts, gave up no home runs. That's a big thing there, and 13 hits. Yeah, so that does it for that segment, and that pretty much does it for our show as well. Don't forget, next week's show will be our draft for our Fantasy Baseball League, which will be starting up very soon. And we will have our draft live on air Friday.
Yes, we will.
So, until then, I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
And I'm Andrew Freeman.
And this has been Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. Thanks for listening. Up next is Friday Sports Riot.